Alright, there's a new 400. Everything on it's pretty simple to do. The bark box, it's just a plug and play, and then the filling dogs that go on it. I got the 3-point ones that go on it too. That's my favorite ones are the 3-point ones. When I pull the muffler cover off, I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. In there, I gotta blow some more of this stuff off. But the air filter is a little bit more work to put it in and install it. It takes a little bit to get it done. So let me get started here. All right, so there's a bark box that comes from West Coast Saws that Gordy manufactures out there. Whoever he has manufacturing does a fantastic job on the welding on these things, on the TIGging on them. But what a lot of people don't understand on these mufflers and this stuff like this, these sales, especially these mufflers, they have to be approved, and they come with a spark arrestor in them and all. And that's not a cheap ordeal. I mean, it's a lot to go through to where these can be run out there on the West Coast and the forest out there, because it's a little bit different animal out there, because that's where the spark arresters are for running in that dry air out there during the summertime to help prevent fires. So I just wanted to say that. So just take these bolts out right here. There's 4 of them. Take out, you got 2 short ones on top. They're gonna have blue Loctite on them. You can see it on the threads there, and I will put blue Loctite back on them when I go to put them back in. So you just pull those out and then pull the muffler cover. Sometimes you have to work it. You may even have to pop it. They'll have this one don't have it, but sometimes they'll have a gasket right there, but you don't need it. But you can see how it's burning. It's good, got a good color to it, good chalk there on it. All right, so I'll show y'all inside here. This haw's had about 11 or 12 tanks of gas through it now. I can see the back of the cylinder wall. It is pristine back here, just absolutely perfect on the back. I'm gonna pull that piston up. So these have a magnesium piston in them, and they're ceramic coated. You can see the white coloring on it. That's the ceramic coating on that. See, right there is the Stihl spark arrestor sitting in the top left corner right there. That's the stock one that's in there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this arrestor screen out of this saw. There it is right there. What happens on these screens a lot of times is the muffler starts flaking off, and that's the reason why they're in there, is to prevent those little pieces from flying out, landing on the ground, and then, you know, starting a fire. Like I said, around here in the southeast, that's really a non-issue, because we have so much humidity around here. You ain't got to worry about that. But you can see the little pieces flying out, like late when it's dusky or something like that, about to get dark, you'll see them fly out of it. But that right there can cause you some problems, and it's in all 2 strokes, and I shouldn't say this, but you can pull them out. It'll save you a lot of heartache down the road, because I've seen them, people bring like weed eaters and or trimmers and stuff like that in to be worked on for other people to work on them, and they'll be just completely coated over with little flakes in the muffler. They're doing their job, but they can also cost you a service call. So pull that thing out, get it out of there, out of the way. And then here's the bark box I'm gonna install. So there's that. And like I said, you can't, the fuel, oil mixture, everything that I'm burning, you can't beat it. I pretty much got that down to a science. I'm gonna put one in here to hold it for now, and then I'm gonna put blue Loctite on all the other ones. Like I said, some mufflers, they'll have a gasket in between there, but you don't have to have the gasket back on it. It's fine without it. If you do pull the muffler off to do this and the gasket tears, just remove the gasket and then don't worry about it. So all the ones, when I put them back in, I'm going to hand run them in. I may run them with the drill to get them down close, and then I'll finish them by hand, torquing them by hand. There, I'm gonna get these started. Get it started there. This is what's so cool about the saws, is being able to personalize them to what you want as an owner. It's kind of like four-wheel drives here in the United States. You know, people like to jack them up and may want to put some larger tires on them or anything like that. Same thing with side-by-sides, ATVs, all that stuff. And that's the cool thing about being able to do that. And I will say this, it's easier and there's more stuff out there available for the Stihls to do this stuff with than it is the Husqvarnas, because they're just a little bit different animal to mess with as far as that goes. So we'll go ahead and snug these two on the top up. It's a T27 Torx is what fits them. We'll run these down. And then I'll use my built-in torque wrench in my hands to get the torque perfect. All right, so bark box is done and installed. There you go, people. Right there on that. Let's move on to the next thing. All right, a little tidbit information about this air filter system. On my other 400, I ordered one. They had just come out with them. And I got one in and I installed it. And anytime I install something, I take it and we'll run it, you know, a little bit, a tank of gas or so through it, and then I'll check it to make sure everything is G-hauling. And I'll do that with this one too. I'll check the muffler bolts, make sure none of them are backing out or anything like that. But when I pulled it off, pulled the air filter off of it to check it, and I did not like what I seen at all. And I immediately pulled the one off. Of course, this was the first version of it. I pulled it off, put it back in the bag, put the original OEM stuff back on it, and that's what I run on my other 400 the entire time. You don't have to do this right here. Now, they already went back and they redesigned this thing. The problem was with it, and what happened with mine was right off the bat, is where the foam was attached to the plastic ring that attaches on the intake right here. It would not seal properly, and mine was not. And luckily I checked it right off the bat and I seen what was going on and I pulled it off. This one right here is supposed to be a completely different animal. Like I said, they improved it. I never said a word to anybody about it, mentioned it or anything, but I knew that there were issues there. All right, this is the tricky part right here, is getting this piece out of these rubber bushings right here. There is a kill switch wire over here on this side, on the left hand side, that you've got to be mindful of. And I just undo it out of the thing, and you can take and just kind of keep prying on this thing. And it will come out. All right, so we're out. So there's two screws on the inside of this thing. You got to get this horn off right here. there's 2 screws in there. You got to remove them, and then you plug those holes. And now you can get the little Torx and get them out. All right, so these 2 Torx are T10s, T10s. Just take them all the way out. And again, you're going to plug these 2 holes with some plugs that they supply in the kit. So here are the little rubber plugs that go in there. You just install them where you just took the 2 Torx screws out. I don't know if you can see them 2 little dudes or not, but they're it takes some patience. I don't mind working on saws, but I'll say this, I would not want to do it for a living. It's just not my thing. I'm glad there's people out there who do like it, because I am not one of those people. Now then, got to get this rubber bushing back in here. So the best thing to do is slide the bushing on the plastic housing first, and then pry it over just a little bit, and it'll go. Make sure this one is shoved all the way over too, so that you have as much clearance as you possibly can. And then take and seat this one all the way down. It needs to go all the way against that metal piece right there. That way everything fits like the way it's supposed to. And that kind of finishes it off. Once you get these in place and snug down, they don't need any lock. So make sure that O-ring right there, I seen that as I was tightening that thing down. Make sure it's up inside here like what it's supposed to be. And then tighten it down. I seen that before I was about done with it right there. Now we can install the filter. The filter comes non-oiled, and so you'll need to put the recommended oil on it that they recommend, and make sure you get it oiled up before you put it on there, because if you try to spray it with it on here, you're just gonna get oil all over everything right there. All right, there it is. I'm gonna show you how sticky. Look at see how sticky that oil is. I would imagine that probably most chainsaw owners, unless you're running a lot or know a good bit about saws, probably are not aware of this and may know it. But this piece right here is called your chain catch, and that's the factory one that comes on the saw when you buy it. And what it does is, when the chain, if you throw the chain off and the chain flies off, this right here stops the chain right there from getting back, because it can come all the way around and slap your tank enough to where to put a hole in it. It also kind of helps keep it off of you a little bit too. But the bad thing about them, they just take just a few hits and they're done. So you need to replace them if if you got one of these aluminum ones. So to change the dogs out, these are going to be I think they're 27s also. Let's see, I've got my trusty old Torx. Yes, they're 27s also. Pull them out, and then there's your holes for the outside cover. So I've got the inside filling dog on already. This is the one that goes on the outside. I put a little blue Loctite on these also when I tighten them down. So I'm gonna go ahead and warn you, if you've never fooled with these things, these dudes are razor sharp. And if you let a wrench slip, they finna jack you up, man. So always be mindful that these dogs are no joke. I hardly can run a saw anymore. It's got the little small dogs on it, because I've been running these for so long. And there is one negative aspect to them. You're gonna lose a couple of inches of your cutting capability because the dogs are so long. But for what you can do with them in the tree, cutting wise, I'll take that trade off. But you can see on there, and here's the inside one on it with the chain catcher right there. See that hole right there? That chain catcher goes through that hole. See it? And it all goes together if you get it on there right. Like I am not. There we go, right there. It goes through there. All right, y'all ready to hear it run? I am. Turn this chair back a little bit. This is the new 400. I did all the work on. There's the bitty sticker on top of it. My sticker on the back.